Hey there! So today let's talk about two super simple stretches that are so effective any level of athlete can use them. You've probably been doing some form of them since elementary school, but you might have let them go because they're too easy. Or maybe we're just not doing them that well. Let's change that. The first one is going to be this hamstring stretch, which we'll get to shortly. But first we gotta talk about why we're doing this. I know. Why does he keep doing that? Because it's important. And if you want to jump ahead, there's little chapter markers below here. Find hamstring stretch. That's where we'll be doing this. First, what's the difference between mobility and flexibility? My tiny little trainer brain likes to think about it this way. Mobility is how far you can move your joints freely and without any ouch. Flexibility is how far I can move your joints freely and without any ouch. Make sense? There are not enough reasons to differentiate between the two for today's discussion, so we're just going to put all stretchy stuff under the blanket of mobility, even though what we're talking about today can benefit either. We've romanticized mobility into a deeply layered product, with many denominations selling extravagant ideas and programs and toys. You should static stretch, never static stretch. You should move to stretch, but never bounce. Always explosive stretch.
Always use bands to stretch.
Sometimes with a kettlebell. You should always have a class and a mat. You need to dance with an expensive stick. You need a bed with straps and cuffs. You don't need to stretch, just do the exercise you're gonna do, just lighter. And they all might work, but often with so many steps and instructions that you might feel like you're learning the martial art of origami. Slot A goes into fold B, you are now a crane. Starting about 20 years ago, there was a real push to make movement more complicated, including stretching for that movement. It was all geared towards the new alternative fitness crowd, and found a real home in CrossFit where extreme has always been the product. So grab a kettlebell, grab a band, and strap yourself in. Twist, turn, smash, mash, thread, and floss your way into a more open you. Skip those pesky basics and just jump right into the mobility mosh pit, which is how all of exercise was and still is being taught. Don't learn movement, just start mimicking those workouts and somehow a better you. If you can ignore all the broken parts. Like the programs and trainers themselves, mobility practices sort of skipped the basics. Maybe there was a correlation between those poorly executed, hastily taught exercise programs and the sudden need to open up those crystallized and rusted and often very injured joints. Entire books and videos were dedicated to explaining these new contortion and bondage practices that, although with some benefit, were far from empowering. And that was part of the secret. If crazy floss dungeon technique number 3 didn't work, I'll sell you number 5. The thing is, they all can work if we're willing to actually learn the important part. Your connection to yourself. Yes, we're back to that hippie shit I always talk about. Can quickly get overlooked for the next shiny thing. Maybe it does the thing to me instead of me learning to understand myself. It's been in you all along, Dorothy. And these two simplest of stretches can highlight that point. And here we are at the hamstring stretch. First of all, this does not have to be high. A simple curb or even the ground will work. The goal, though, is to get your hips pointed directly at that foot, which means this foot is pointed that way because the body just kind of wants to turn this foot out and let the hips turn this way a little bit. And if we're gonna make this awesome, we're gonna turn back this way. So get this foot pointing in the same direction as the foot that's going up. Boop! The temptation is to round your back and just reach, 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 reach. This is less of a hamstring stretch and far more of a back stretch. And some people might even tell you, not a very good one, or maybe even a dangerous one. Instead, we're going to work on your hinge. You know, that hinge that we've been working on for all of our squatting and deadlifting and swings. The spine doesn't change. It doesn't change shape at any point. It stays the same, nice and locked in place, but you hinge at the hips. Now do that with that foot up there, where all I have to do is hinge at the hips. Now I'm above average flexibility. Watch how far I go before I feel it. Oh, there it is. That's it. You won't go very far, and that's why the foot doesn't have to go up very high, because all you have to do is hinge. You're pushing your hips back. Boom, there's those hammies. Now we're gonna add a little technique that we're stealing from the world of proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation, which you've heard me talk about before in other videos. It's a little technique we'll call push and release. You're creating force and then relaxing. And because you created the force, when you relax, you'll go further. In this case, we're going to create the force from the hamstring itself. So first I push my hips back. Oh, that's it. That's as far as I can go right now. I'm going to actively push this foot down into the rock for a handful of seconds, maybe up to 5 seconds, and then I'm going to relax and I can go a little further. And if I repeat that, push, 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 relax, hold for a little bit. Eventually, your ending position will look a lot different than your starting position. You'll get quite a bit out of it. And this type of flexibility, this type of mobility, transfers really well to what you're going to do later. It stays with you. And that's the beauty of it. Super simple, super effective. Let's move on. All right, the other famous tight spot, shoulders. Now all you need is a door frame or a pillar or a tree to put your arm up against and turn away from. That's it. Sort of. There's of course a couple key mistakes. The first one is we often want to move our body by pushing our belly forward and arching our back into it. We're going to treat our spine like we would for so many other exercises where we lock it in place. It doesn't change shape, it just turns with the rest of the body. Everything turns as a unit. It might not look very impressive, but you're going to feel that stretch through here a lot more. Same song, different body part. Instead of pushing the belly forward, we often push the head forward. We chicken neck it. Look how far my arm is going back. Again, nothing more happening here, just straining the neck. Need it a little bit harder? Higher. In fact, you can keep going if you have a door frame by one or both hands up above you and coming away from it that way. Same thing, keep the body rigid, just bring it forward. Also, if you have a door frame, you can do both arms at the same time. Super groovy. Let's apply those same PNF techniques we were using over at the waterfall for the hamstrings. If my arm's up and I actively push into the tree, and then I turn, hold for a little bit, and then I push into the tree, and then I turn and hold a little bit, and I'm slightly rushing it. Make the push a little longer, make the hold a little longer, you'll get more out of it. But again, by the end, you'll be a lot further along than when you started. Also again, this crosses over nicely to anything else you're gonna wanna do, but that comes with a caveat. Although they'll prep you for whatever's coming afterwards, for the long-term benefits, do them consistently. Daily if you can. It doesn't have to be long. A minute or two at each one of them has huge benefits. So there you go, 2 simple and very effective stretches. Also check out the Initiate program on the BodyTribe website, which is free. It's a collection of techniques, simple techniques like these that ground you in your own body with multiple levels of progressions that you'll carry into the rest of your movement journey. And there we go. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, thanks for inspiring, because you do. And remember, you matter. Treat yourself and others accordingly. Bye! Skip those pesky biscuits. Skip those pesky basics. Pesky basics. We've romanticized. Hello, Mr. Butterfly. Mrs. Butterfly? I don't know how you identify. And I don't care. You're lovely.